Welcome to the Vision Gap Show. Align your big idea and vision with a plan of action to resonate and stand out in your market. With your hosts, Andy Halko and Tony Zayas.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Vision Gap Show. A lot of work that we've done in the past few episodes, really building out some foundational pieces that all go into today's topic, which is messaging. So Andy, this is like when the rubber meets the road. Where do we take all those things that we've built out, and how do we take that stuff and use it, right? How do we put it on a website or put it in a message?
And I think it's good to probably reiterate the pyramid that we've built, right? We started out with our strategy and vision, where we wanted to go as an organization. We really built upon that, our value propositions, what makes us unique in the marketplace, our brand voice, which is how we want to sound, and then our positioning, which was, key messages that set a barometer, a compass for where we want messaging to go. And now here, kind of at the tip of this pyramid, is the messaging that we actually use on our website, in emails, in ads. And it's all of those things that, we need and utilize every single day, whether we're in marketing, sales, customer service, or product. And obviously, it is the tip of that pyramid because the messaging should be underneath that really strong foundation of strategy. And that's what's most important to get it right.
Yeah. And the alignment between these things is what can be challenging when you're building them out, and then how to actually create messaging based off of your value propositions that are in alignment with your brand voice and represent your vision, mission, values, all those things, right? So there is a level of complexity. It's easy to say like, okay, yeah, use your value proposition to build out this messaging sequence or whatever, but there's a number of pieces in play. And I think that's where it gets tricky for the actual creation of messaging.
And I think the important thing that, we always talk about with messaging, and we've kind of said this whole journey through, is aligning the team, right? And so one of the things that we commonly see in organizations is that people go off the rails, right? Is that, Joe's creating a sales presentation and he's just kind of, talking about the organization the way he thinks that it is. Sally's building out ads, and she may be a little bit more aligned because that's what marketing does, but then starts just trying different iterations. And then someone in customer service, starts editing the follow-up emails. And so it's all about this idea that, teams getting aligned, but then also staying consistent. And again, it's especially important that this happens on top of the pyramid. I think that's the challenge, is that when people start going off into these different tangents, is that they move away from the foundational strategy that the business has defined, that this is how we want to talk about ourselves. This is why our customers buy. This is the voice that we want to have to convince people, that we're the right organization to work with. And so that foundation, that, pyramid is built. And then as people start going off in these different directions and making changes, they're creating their own buildings way off, just to keep the analogy going. And all of a sudden you've got this you don't have a pyramid anymore. You just have a bunch of stone spewed across the desert.
Yeah. I think mentioning those different teams and how they're going to kind of do their own thing, possibly sales, customer service, marketing. I think that's an important part of the conversation, because as we went in and built out, the different pieces, brand voice, value prop, positioning, all of that, the thought is everybody, all those teams can be represented in that workshopping process that we go through. And that's important, because just because marketing builds out some of these pieces doesn't mean they have it right. Sometimes it's customer service. They're the ones that are talking to the actual customers every, day in, day out with their challenges and helping them solve things. So those are important perspectives. Now that messaging can be truly representative of those different perspectives. So
100%.
we want to jump in and take a look at how we can build out messaging inside of Frictionless.
Yeah, let's talk about Frictionless. And so again, this whole series has been about, these concepts of making sure that you're aligning the team, you're building a smarter strategy that actually works for your organization to convince and compel people in the right directions. And so part of that is that we wanted to make sure once you build the strategy that you're creating that messaging and you're giving folks a centralized repository to manage it. And so what we've done is built this library of messaging, and you only see one here that's kind of an email real quickly. But one of the things that I think is important to note is that throughout the platform, when you're working in it, messaging is tied to it. So you may be in one of your offerings and managing the messaging within an offering and creating positioning statements for a specific offering that you have. But then you can create the messaging within there of, what are the messages for this specific product or whatever it might be. And our platform even helps generate messaging within here for that specific service. And the key is that you're creating this messaging for different purposes. It might be for an offering. It might be for an ad in a campaign, which you can create in Frictionless under campaigns. And so there's different messaging that can be created. And so we're just kind of adding messages that we've found now. And so then when we go back to our messaging, we're going to have the stuff that we had here. And then these things are added to our library. And so the great piece is that throughout Frictionless, you're creating messaging for different purposes, but it all gets retained in this library. The other key piece that we have is you can not only enter your own, but also gather messaging that you may currently have from your website. And so, went out to our website very quickly and get insights on how to grow your software technology. I'm going to keep that. I may keep some of these others. And so the rest I don't want to keep. And so now I've been able to create messaging in a couple of seconds where I already had some things in my library. I just created some things that were associated with my offerings. And now I've scraped my website and pulled in some existing messaging. And so really it starts building that repository, and we can start organizing and filtering those by personas or offerings. So earlier, the positioning, I created that. So if I'm in the library and I'm saying I just want to see messaging that's associated to this offering, I can find it. Or if I want to find messaging that's associated to a specific campaign that I have or a specific persona that I developed. And so this gives your folks the ability, if you're in sales, I'm talking to CEOs, I want to come in here and what are my messages for CEOs to, for positioning, whatever it might be. And so this becomes such a nice, simple repository for your team. And then the great thing is what we've built in here is the ability to create, to rewrite this. And so you can come in and rewrite it with your team voice, the voice that you set. You can create an individual voice and do it. And then you can even turn on our improved readability that will actually help write it in a format that makes it more consumable following different methodologies that we have. And so the interesting thing that happens here, and we talked a lot with Frictionless about things that happen behind the scenes, is that this is actually taking that message and it's filtering it through our brand voice. It is looking at things like our value propositions that we set, and then it's looking at this best practices for readability, and it just rewrote that messaging, unleash the power of growth in tech industries, unlocking vital insights for software technology and device. And you can see how this is now written in that format of F pattern, where it's got a good headline, sublines, and then these bullet point lists, and then a powerful ending statement. And so within a couple of seconds here, we were able to take a simple message that we gathered from our website, put it here in our library, and then rewrite it. And we can go in and we can tweak and edit certain words, whatever we might want to do. But now we've got this message here in our library that's much more aligned to our value propositions. It's been rewritten in our voice, and it's now been written in a way that helps for consumability by the audience. And so within seconds, again, we've helped align our messaging on that foundational pyramid and made sure, that people have one source of truth that they can come and find it in. And so I think that's really powerful for teams to have, especially after they spent all this time and effort building this great foundation.
Yeah. You look at that messaging that it created and it's like, no big deal. But again, going back to that idea of there's so many things in play when you're considering, your value proposition, your mission, vision, values, your brand voice, all those things that if you're going to take a stab at writing this just on your own, lot to consider. A lot of times that writer's block hits you, you get frustrated and stuck. So even just to get some ideas going of what you can be saying, super powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you can see here, we're doing this in seconds, right? And it literally is taking one sentence and giving us really powerful information. Like, again, we have versioning. So your success is our success. Let's define your unique market value together. Becomes together we forge success, uncovering your unique market value. Together we'll define what sets you apart. So you can see one simple sentence that is filtered through our value propositions, what we do as an organization, because we've got that data, our voice, and this readability gives us something that's just 20 times better. And so I think anybody that's in an organization that's trying to write content for their website, look at creating, content for materials or in a product or whatever it might be, man, does this give you this instant ability to just brainstorm, right? And it doesn't have to be over. The great thing is that you can actually create new brand voices. You could change this text a little bit and say rewrite it in a different way. And it'll actually continue to give you new suggestions on this. And it's all versioned so that we can see what we wrote before. And so now united, we sculpt triumph, deciphering your distinct market worth. But we've still got the old ones, and it tells us how it wrote those. And so now we've got this ability to brainstorm, whether we're editing it on our own or we're leveraging the system to help us continue the brainstorm. It's all here if we want to go back and we want to use previous messaging as well. And so really gives us that ability to, again, create this powerful repository, brainstorm, build messaging, and do it at a speed that is just unfathomable, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, the point of this turning into this library, just expanding, being collaborative, different team members can go in, see, access, filter, search, super powerful stuff. If you have ever worked on anything like this type of messaging or wanted to develop this type of messaging for your organization, I just encourage you to go over to frictionlesshq.com and just kick the tires, jump in, get a free account and try it out there. So helpful, super easy to use. And again, the stuff that we're doing here is important, very foundational pieces that you're able to accomplish in this platform.
Agreed.
So with that, guys, we're going to wrap up here today. Next show, we will dive into those campaigns. So looking at going further with how we take what we've built and actually execute on it, turn it into some really powerful marketing. We'll take a look at that. on our next show. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
This episode of the Vision Gap Show has been brought to you by Frictionless. Build high-impact strategy at scale. Create your vision, brand position, and go-to-market strategy, all in a collaborative AI-enabled workspace. Visit frictionlesshq.com to create your free account today.